Hi there, my name is Steve Gerhardt. This is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching today's video. Today's video is a little bit of a history lesson. It has to do with samurai anime. There's a name that gets bandied about in some samurai, or actually a lot of samurai anime, particularly when you're talking about feudal era type of anime. And there's this organization that seems to be like off screen, and it's referred to as with a name, and sometimes there's an individual's name that's associated with it, and it's the name is Tokugawa. So who were the Tokugawa? Were they real? And why did the samurai hate them so much? So to start to answer this question, we need to start with the Warring States period. And that's a period of time where Japan was in total chaos, and everybody who was of nobility was fighting against each other, trying to create their own kingdoms, trying to take over lands of other people, settle revenge feuds, clans were at each other's throats, the whole 9 yards. So at the end of the Warring States period was a guy named Oba Nobunaga. Now that name might sound familiar to you. He's the guy who unified Japan. He did that with two very powerful clans, Japanese clans, and one was the Toyotomi, and the other was the Tokugawa. These two clans were very rich in resources. They were rich in wealth. They had a lot of people under their provinces. They were very good administrators. They ran their provinces very, very well. So, and they supported Oba Nobunaga, who wanted to unify the Japan under the emperor and go back to the original vassal system. So Oba Nobunaga goes to war and he unifies Japan. And the idea was that Oba Nobunaga, with the support of the Toyotomi clan, would set up a shogunate under his name, his family name, and become the emperor shogunate and go back to the way things used to be. The Tokugawas kind of looked at it and said, well, if we go back to the way that things were, then we're going to go into another period, Warring States period, because that's going to happen sooner rather than later, and this is a bad idea. Can we reconsider and name the Tokugawa clan as the shogunate? And Oba Nobunaga and the Toyotomi said no. As a result of that, the Tokugawa said, fine, okay. They stepped back for about a year, and then Tokugawa Ieyasu sort of betrayed Oba Nobunaga and had him killed. So Oba Nobunaga is dead. His dream of a shogunate and going back to the old ways is now dead. The Toyotomis are looking around going, wait a minute, what's going on? And the Tokugawas just slipped right into positions of power. Now, the Tokugawas were forward thinking, so they knew that the old ways necessarily weren't going to work, but they had to kind of do a hybrid. So what they did was that they created what was called a bakuhan style of government. So a vassal government basically just means you're the king and you have 3 or 4 lords under you who are loyal to you. Under those lords, they have lords that are loyal to them, the lords loyal to them, you get the idea. It goes down the line. And as further away you get geographically, the less control that the king or the emperor has on those outlying provinces, and they become totally reliant upon their vassals, who sometimes will go, maybe I should be king or emperor. So Tokugawas said, we don't want that. What we want is a more structured, more centralized government, but we understand that people kind of like the old ways too. So what they did was they went to the emperor first and said, hey, Tokugawa Ieyasu said, hey, here's my granddaughter. I'd like to make her a part of your imperial consort. So that tied the Tokugawa family politically to the emperor. Then the emperor says, okay, your family is now the shogunate. Great. Hey, just to make sure that you're happy, Mr. Emperor, we're going to make all these new palaces for you. We're going to make these new temples for you because, you know, you got a very important spiritual job to do for the people, and we'll handle the day-to-day stuff, but let's renovate stuff, make new stuff for you, make you look good, okay? And we'll pay for it. And the emperor said, I like that idea. So that's how the Tokugawas got the emperor into their pocket, and successive emperors after that. So the Tokugawas and the emperor and the imperial family are in tight. So then they turned around and they went to the other lords, daimyos, and said to the ones that were close to them geographically and as allies, so that, you know, it wasn't necessarily those who were closest to them, but also to them that were friends for generations of the Tokugawa clan, and maybe they're on the other side of the island of Honshu. So they reached out to these people and they said, hey, we're creating a government. You are our closest geographic allies and or our closest friends. You've been friends with us generations. We want you in positions of power with us. So we're going to put you in high seats of power within our shogunate. But you guys swear fealty to us and you can't let us down. And so they did. So that was the first level. They went to a second level, which was basically the provinces that were maybe physically a little bit farther away, and maybe they didn't have quite tight ties with them. And they said, well, you know, we don't know you that well, but you helped us, so we want to reward you. Here's some mid-level positions in our government, in the high part of government, that we want you to have. We want you to have this. We want you to be part of the team. And they said, hey, this sounds good because I'm going to be tied into your power, to your wealth, and there'll be peace. The third class that they went to were the people who were their former adversaries or people who were new to them. And they basically said, look, we don't know you. Let's be honest here. We don't know you. Or, hey, you tried to kill us before. But in the interest of peace and prosperity, we're going to include you in the government, but they're going to be really low-level positions. And because you're so far away, we're going to have to put a few garrisons in your province just to make sure that things are okay, all right? And those provinces had no choice. So that's how the Tokugawa clan consolidated control, brought in a new form of feudal government that lasted from 1603 to the Meiji Restoration, which was in 1868. So for about 300 years, give or take, the Tokugawas had a really good run of it. Now, the interesting thing is that while the samurai in anime really don't like the Tokugawas actually did a really good job at first. And so what happened was basically the only obstacle to total control was the Toyotomi clan. And we're going to get to them in a minute. But in the first 100 years, the Tokugawa clan did very, very well. The shogunate did very well. The arts improved, society improved, there was peace, there was prosperity, there was good inter-trade within Japan and some good trade going on with Korea and China. So in terms of economics, in terms of social well-being, in terms of education, the Tokugawa government was really doing a good job. They were good administrators. That's what they were good at. The problem was that they also had to impose certain societal rules, what men and women could wear, what your stations were. There was definitely a caste society of sorts. Everything had to be geared toward the production of rice because the entire national economy was based on rice, banking rice, because that was the one thing that they really actually could make in abundance. And so in the first 100 years after the consolidation of power, they did very, very well. So again, it begs the question, well, why did the samurai eventually in anime not like the Tokugawas? Well, there's two reasons. The first one has to do with the Toyotomi clan. So the Toyotomi clan, like I said, was the initial supporters of Oba Nobunaga. And they were the only serious opposition to the Tokugawa clan after they consolidated just about the entire country under their rule. And it was Hideaki Tokugawa, the son of Ieyasu, who actually managed to wipe out the Toyotomi clan. And the Toyotomi clan represented the old ways. So if you're samurai and you're thinking of the old ways, that's the clan that you looked up to, that you fought for, and that you respected. The Tokugawas pretty much wiped them out, like killed them all. So there's reason number one. So the samurai who have this idea, their Bushido code and all this stuff, which the Toyotomi said this is a good thing, we love the samurai. One of their main benefactors was taken away from them. So that's reason number one. And now here's the second reason, which is actually the more important reason. The Tokugawa government, at first not on purpose, but then by the end it was on purpose, destroyed the samurai class. And here's what happened. Eventually, because there was peace and prosperity within Japan, they discovered that anything that would happen outside of Japan that tried to come into Japan would cause problems, obviously. Someone trying to invade them, new ideas, things like that, new religions, hint, Christianity. So they didn't like these things. They didn't want new things to come in. So they put Japan in a period of isolation. Nobody could leave the island. Nobody could come to the islands. And that also meant samurai. So if the samurai don't have anybody to fight, what do they do? So there was a steady decline in the samurai class. The problem was that the samurai class was huge because they were warrior class and they just came out of about 150 years worth of war, and they're like, well, what do we do now if we have nobody to fight? So then suddenly there was all these duels happening all over the place, and then the Tokugawa government said, no, we can't have everybody killing each other. Stop it. So they created laws that restricted samurai, restricted how people could become samurai, what you could do as a samurai, what your abilities were, how much money you made, and things like that. And what started happening was that Japan started, as a nation, grew stagnant, and as a result of that national stagnation, the samurai also became stagnant. So the samurai are literally just sitting around. So there's a couple different classes of samurai at this point. The first one is that the samurai had become bureaucrats. So you would have the title of samurai, but you're not really a samurai, meaning that you have your swords, you might have some training, all that stuff, but you're not a warrior. You're a bureaucrat. You're a errand boy. That's what you are. That's what you get paid to do now. But you are rewarded with stipends or land, and eventually, if you do a really good job, maybe you become a nobility, but you do it through being a good civil servant and not a warrior, which is the whole point of the samurai class. So they started stagnating. And then there is the concept of what nobles used to do, which was they wanted to make sure that they had samurai, but they didn't want them to just go, okay, I'm bored, I'm going to go somewhere else. And so they would put on a retainer and paid them to be unemployed. Let me repeat that. They paid samurai to be unemployed. In other words, they said, if you're a samurai, we're going to give you a stipend. We're going to pay you out twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring. And as a result, you're my man. So this is free money. You can do whatever you want to do with that money. You can go wherever you want within the province. You can do whatever you want, whatever, but you're my man. So if I call for you, you have to come running. But you can't do anything else. You can't hold any other jobs. You can't do any of these other things. If you do, then you have to give up being a samurai. Well, samurai want to be samurai. They have a class. There's a certain, thing that comes with it. So they don't want to give that up necessarily. So they went along with it. So what happened by 1868 was that the Tokugawa, or actually by the 1850s when the Americans showed up, the samurai, they looked at the samurai to say, hey, you're going to have to protect us from these guys. And they found out, they went, oh, wait. Oh, we softened you up. Oh, you're no longer a warrior class. You're just a bunch of bureaucrats now. Crap. So when you look at samurai anime, you see these guys who are going on these assassin missions, or they're going on these, protecting somebody, or, they're trying to do something in support of the Toyotomi clan. That's the reason why. And that's, the reason why the Tokugawas are so hated is because the Tokugawas took away what it meant in real life, when it meant to be a samurai. So when you watch samurai anime, you'll notice that it's always in the first 50 years of the Tokugawa shogunate where it kind of makes them look like rebels, or it's in the last 50 years of the Tokugawa shogunate where there's this one final gasp of, I want to die as a samurai, so I'm going to do my one-man war against the oppressors, which is the Tokugawa, and I know I'm going to die in the process, but it doesn't matter because I will die as a samurai. So that's the reason why. So the Tokugawas, not necessarily evil people. They were good administrators at first. They did a good job. They just fell down along the way. So anyway, if you're ever wondering why, when you're watching a samurai anime and you keep hearing the name Tokugawa, and that the samurai reacts to the name like those people, that's the reason. Okay, so I hope you found this little history lesson enjoyable. Okay, so that's it. The next video that's going to come up is the annual, hey, what's going to happen to the channel for 2021. And just kind of tell you what I'm thinking about doing and what changes I have to make because of COVID-19. And moving on from there, the last episode, it's going to be a Christmas episode too. The last episode of this season, yes, I called it season, it goes from February to end of the year, is going to be, I think, my top 10 anime that I personally like, that I think you should watch. You don't have to agree with me. If you disagree, that's fine, but you're wrong. Anyway, just my top 10, personal top 10. And we end the year with that, and we'll go from there. So, in the meantime, COVID-19 is still a thing, so wear your face mask, social distance. And my name is, as always, Steve Gerhardt. This is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for watching. If you like today's video, hit the like button. And if you subscribe, if we get to 250 subscribers, then we get digital sushi. Who doesn't want digital sushi? And as always, thank you so much. Please do what you have to do to stay safe, because I want to meet you guys sometime in the future. And I'm going to have to stop rambling because I think I'm rambling.